I recently gave a presentation where I covered what students can do to use generative AI ethically. So this was a really powerful presentation because students seem to really want this type of information. They expressed that a lot of their instructors didn't thoroughly go over this, that it was maybe talked about very quickly, but not fully addressed. So that's what I want to share with you. And the way that I'm going to do it is that I'm going to explain a couple of things to you right now, and then I'm going to present it as if I'm presenting it to students. The idea then would be that this would be a resource, a tool that you could use, and that you could have your students watch this video, that portion of the video. So all you would need to do is, since this is going to be on YouTube, right click on it and say, get the link at this time. So you can get a link that would have that specific time for when it starts for that portion that would be for students. So that, again, the idea here is that this is a tool, a resource for you to use with your students. So I'm going to go over some of the basic aspects of understanding what it means to use the AI ethically and the different components associated with that, what we really need to know in order to use it effectively, but also ethically. All right, so I'm going to go straight into it, again, as if I'm talking to the students. Hello, everyone. Thank you for giving me your time. I'm going to be covering how students can use AI ethically. The first thing that's really important is that we have to have a basic foundational understanding of AI literacy to begin with. This is important so that we can use AI in the right way, efficiently, as well as ethically. These are the four major components of AI literacy: awareness, capability, knowledge, and critical thinking. With awareness, we have to be fully cognizant. We have to be aware that AI is all around us. It's in everything from our search engine to our word processor to most of the apps and web pages that we visit. This is affecting society, both good and bad. And we have to really understand that AI is part of our lives, both in school, as well as at work, as well as in everyday life. This is going to be important more and more as AI becomes more integrated with everything that we do. The next one is capability. We have to understand how to use AI in the right way, and we have to develop our capability, meaning prompt engineering, understanding the difference between a simple prompt and a more advanced prompt that will give us the more specific information of what we're trying to get from that AI. Knowledge is also very important. We need to have a keen understanding of what are the different types of AIs. There's the right type of AI for different types of jobs. We also have to have a good understanding of what's going on with our data. Is our information being kept safe and secure? Is it being resold? We need to understand that. That comes through reading the terms of service, understanding what the AI, that type of AI, is going to be doing. It's important to know that everyone else also has access to this AI. That means that a fellow student can use it, so can instructors, so can businesses, governments. Everyone now has access to generative AI. So in order to be competitive in the workforce and knowledgeable, we have to be able to fully use the AI. And finally, critical thinking. This is an extremely important part of AI literacy because we have to have this critical thinking and awareness that AI isn't cognizant, right? It doesn't have a conscious, it doesn't know what it's doing right now. The type of AI that's available to us is this AI that's using predictive analysis. So you're feeding it a prompt, and then based off of that, based off of the information that you're asking for from it, based off of the way that you formulated that prompt, it's doing predictive analysis to give you the very next word. So we have to know that. We have to know that AI is currently prone to hallucinations. So we have to make sure that we check all responses. We can't just take what the AI gives us and then turn it in. No, it always has to be fully evaluated. Hallucinations means that it can present the information as if it's confidently right, even though it's completely wrong. It can make up references. It can make up data, dates, all these things. So we have to make sure that we're always checking, we're always verifying the information. Along with that, we have to understand that some of the information that comes from AI could be biased because of the data that it's been trained on, because of the source of the information, even the company itself. It's putting up guardrails, left and right limits of the information that it's giving you. So we have to understand that, and we have to know that there could be some bias, there could be some aspects of the information that aren't 100% truthful or don't give us the complete picture. So that's why it's important that we verify information and we always have this awareness, this critical analysis of the results. This is also where the ethics comes in, understanding that with critical thinking also comes this ethical idea that we have to think about how we're using the AI. Is it appropriate to use the AI? Should I be using the AI? Am I allowed to use the AI? Using it in the right way? These are all key aspects of the critical thinking component of AI literacy, ethical understanding. And that's the main part of what we're going to be covering today. So what is ethics? Well, we can pose that question to ChatGPT and it will give us an answer such as this. Ethics refers to the study of moral principles that govern the behavior of individuals and groups. It involves examining concepts such as right and wrong, good and bad, and the justification of actions based on values and principles. That's a pretty good definition. That helps us to understand, oh, okay, it's about principles, it's about good and right. But remember, when we get something from the AI, we can't just take it at face value. It's important that we also verify the information. So here's a definition. In the legal context, ethics defines how individuals choose to interact with one another. In philosophy, ethics defines what is good for the individual and for society and establishes the nature of duties that people owe themselves and one another. The source for this is from Cornell Law School, and there's the URL for that. Again, that's an ethical aspect in itself. You see how I'm giving credit to where the source of information actually comes from. So now we've verified the information that ChatGPT gave us, and now we have to think about different ways that it can be used. We just used it to get us information. It's an important way that we could use the AI. It can also answer direct questions, brainstorm, bouncing ideas. It can create content such as text, images, videos, provide feedback to our content, and act as a simulator. So these are all different ways that AI could be used. There's additional ways as well, but these are some of the main ways. But we have to be thinking about, okay, is it still appropriate? How can we use it in order to still be within the reins of ethics? Understanding what ethics means, now we need to think about, okay, is it right? Can I use it? So the first thing we need to be thinking about is, what is the policy? What are the rules and regulations in the situation that I'm in? So if we're talking about school, the first thing we need to look at is, are there policies in place? Are there regulations, guidelines that tell me what's right and what's wrong dealing with how I can use AI in the classroom for my assignments? Here's an example policy from a university that talks about use of AI within the classroom. And it states, cheating. Cheating includes, but is not limited to, using or referring to notes, books, devices, or other sources of information, including advanced artificial intelligence AI tools, such as ChatGPT, in completing an academic evaluation or assignment, when such use has not been expressly allowed by the faculty member who's conducting the examination. So in this case, it's pretty clear that a student isn't allowed to use AI for the purposes of an examination, for an assignment that's being assessed, unless the instructor specifically allows it. It's very important for you to check the policies at your educational institution to ensure that you're following and you have a clear understanding of what is allowed. Now, within that, there should also be additional instructions that come from your instructor. They should be telling you for each assignment how you might be able to use AI, if it's allowed, if it's not allowed. It would also be good to be in the rubrics. Sometimes an instructor might put it in there. But if you ever find yourself in a situation where it isn't clear, it isn't expressed fully, then you need to go to that instructor and say, please tell me, can I use it in this way? Am I allowed to use it for this? Can I use it for that? By asking that instructor, ensuring that everything is clear, then we can avoid these problems in the future, and we can ensure that we are on the proper path of using it in an ethical way. So let's look at an example of how AI might be used in different ways within a writing assignment. Here is the 7-step writing process. The first one, choosing a topic. Based off of the instructor and the guidance from the instructor, AI might be used. They might allow you to use it to choose a topic. You have to check with your instructor. In the same way, AI could be used to help with brainstorming an idea, with outlining, with drafting, soliciting feedback, revising, proofreading. All of these different areas are possibilities that the AI could be used. But in order to be proper with the ethical aspects, you need to ensure that you have guidance from your instructor as far as what is allowed. One area that AI can generally be used at would be soliciting feedback, because generally within the 7-step writing process, you would give your actual essay, your writing project to another person. That other person would review it, look at it, and then give you feedback, tell you certain things. It's another set of eyes. This is, again, the idea of it's being checked again to ensure that it's good, to ensure that it matches up with the rubric and what is requested of the student. In general, this would be allowed, having another student look at it. So in most cases, this would still be an ethical use of AI because it's the same thing as showing it to someone else, but only if it's done correctly, only if the proper prompt is used in order to just get the feedback. Here's an example of how you might use the AI to get feedback on your actual written assignment done in an ethical way. Please act as an experienced university English professor. Provide me with usable feedback on how to improve my writing composition. Check the writing that I will provide by reviewing its logic, ensuring it is well organized and has a good thesis statement, has proper evidence to support the main ideas, uses compelling language appropriate to the audience, demonstrates clear, fluid use of syntax, proper grammar and mechanics, and is error-free. Do not provide a revised version of the writing provided. Do you understand? Notice this key line. Do not provide a revised version of the writing provided. If this line isn't there within the prompt, the AI is very likely to not only give you feedback, but also to completely rewrite whatever essay you provided it. So make sure that you have something like this in order to avoid any breach of ethical utilization of the AI. This prompt itself would be put together based off of the requirements of the writing project of the essay, meaning that you would look at the rubric and include that terminology, those requirements within the actual prompt. So now the AI would give you the results, it would give you all the feedback that you asked for, and notice that it doesn't rewrite the entire essay. A good ethical use if it's allowed by your instructor. That was one use of AI dealing with actual writing and how we can ethically use it to get good feedback without it actually doing the assignment for us. There are other uses for it. There are other uses outside of the classroom that can empower us, that can give us more agency in our own learning management so that we can understand the content of the instruction that much more. So here's an example. Let's say you're going through and you've just had a class dealing with Plato's The Allegory of the Cave, or maybe you read it and you want a better understanding. Here's the prompt that you could use. Please act as a university philosophy professor and explain Plato's The Allegory of the Cave. I'm taking a class on this and I didn't understand it fully. Explain it so I understand what it represents so that I can better contribute to the discussion in the class. Do you understand? Now notice here that I'm using an advanced prompt. This is a key aspect of AI literacy in the capabilities section in that I'm giving it a specific task. Explain Plato's The Allegory of the Cave. The instructions, explain it so that I understand what it represents. A context, act as a university philosophy professor. And then the reasons. I'm taking a class on this and I didn't understand it fully. I want this explanation so that I can better contribute to the discussions in this class. And then clarification, do you understand? And then refinement going with a continuing conversation on what it responds to you. And here's a response. It totally goes through and it breaks down, gives me a good explanation of what is Plato's The Allegory of the Cave. A key thing here to remember is that there's the refinement. I don't have to be satisfied with the response. I could go in and go even deeper in my learning by saying, I'm still not fully getting this. Can you please explain this to me as if I'm a freshman in high school? Please use simpler language and include some examples. Thanks. Sure enough, the AI would go through and re-explain it to you, but with simpler language. It would be presenting the information in a different form, one that is at a lower level for me to better grasp the explanation. So it's using simpler language, it's using different examples, and it's putting everything together. This is a great simple summary. In a nutshell, Plato's story is about how sometimes we get stuck in our own ideas, what we see around us, just like the prisoners in the cave. After I receive the information in this way, now I can also pose it and go back up in a more complex language to understand it at a higher level. Another powerful aspect is, again, because I have full agency and I can use the AI on my own in this way, I can go even deeper. I can prompt the AI with this. Please act as my university philosophy professor, pretend that we are in class, and ask me 3 questions of different difficulty on Plato's The Allegory of the Cave, one at a time, that my professor might ask. Let me answer, do not answer for me. Give me feedback, and then ask me another question. After all 3 questions have been asked, give me overall feedback. The AI will understand this and then give you the questions one by one to simulate what it would be like in the classroom where an instructor might ask these type of questions. This gives you an opportunity to answer questions that you hadn't prepared, and then it gives you specific feedback on how you did on those specific questions, as well as overall feedback to help you understand some areas that maybe you need to work on. You can go even deeper and ask it a direct question, such as, now ask me a really hard question about Plato's allegory of the cave, a question that really requires critical thinking and deep learning and understanding. After I give my response, please provide detailed feedback, both positive aspects and what to work on, as if you were the professor. So it presents a difficult question, one that requires some critical thinking. I give my response, and then it goes through and gives me both the positive aspects of my response, as well as areas that I can improve upon. This is real agency. This is really taking ownership of your learning. And this is something that can be done outside of the assignments and assessments within the classroom. So in this way, we can avoid ethical problems because I'm using it on my own, not for an assignment, not for something that's being graded, but purely for my own edification. Another important ethical component to think about, again, besides asking the instructor for clarification, is to protect yourself from possible views that you violated some sort of ethical guidance. What I mean by this is that instructors are having to deal with lots of students, or at least a fair amount of students, that are using AI unethically. They are on the lookout, if you will, and again, different instructors act differently, but they are looking to see if students are improperly using the AI. It's important to realize that AI text detectors aren't perfect. Some instructors might think that, but they need to understand that it isn't perfect. Here's some resources that you can show them if they think that it is perfect, especially for those students that have English as a second language. The false positive rate on some of these AI detectors is much higher because of the way that someone that has English as a second language would create an essay. There are different things that you can do to protect yourself from a false allegation, meaning that the instructor thinks that you use AI when you actually didn't. The first one is to be honest. To be honest and make sure that you are only using AI when you are allowed to. Again, seek clarification from the instructor. So the very first thing is to avoid the situation by being honest. The next one is that if you are using the AI, because let's say the instructor allows you to use it for part of the assignment or some aspect of how you're going to be assessed, make sure that you are properly documenting what you're using the AI for. A recommendation would be that whenever you have a conversation with the AI, such as if you're using ChatGPT or you're using Google Gemini, formerly Bard, that you are making sure that you keep that conversation. Remember, during a conversation at the top right, you can click on that to share the link of that conversation with the AI. This will protect you in that now you have a record of exactly how you use the AI, so that if your instructor has any questions, they can see that, oh, you used it for this portion and you used it in this way. Other things that you can do to protect yourself, as far as if you're getting accused of using the AI inappropriately, is to actually go through the 7-step writing process. If an instructor in whatever field gives you an assignment where you have to write an essay, go through the 7-step writing process, meaning that you're documenting that you came up with this idea, you're documenting that you went through and created an outline, that you created this rough draft, that you went through this process, and so you have a record of doing all those things. You have the documents to back it up. So if you do get falsely accused, you can show them, look, I went through the 7-step writing process. Here are all the preliminary steps as well as a rough draft. Having a rough draft is always a good idea because that shows the process of what you're going through. Additionally, and along the same lines, I would also recommend that you have versions of your essay. You can easily do that with track changes within Microsoft Office, Microsoft Word, or even within Google Docs. They have a history where you can put in and have history, different versions of the essay that you're writing. In this way, again, you'll have documentation to show that you went through and you created this writing on your own. Those are some key recommendations that I would suggest you follow in order to protect yourself, as well as to ensure that there are no problems with utilization of the AI in an ethical manner. Thank you for your time, and I hope that the information presented will now help you to develop your overall AI literacy to better understand how you can use AI ethically. And remember, learning is for life.